A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilchi, and let's start with the headlines. In the wake of the Dadri lynching incident, President Pranab Mukherjee appeals for tolerance, says we cannot allow core values of our civilization to be wasted. A day after poet Ashok Washbay also returns his Scythe Academy Award, peace marches are held in Vishada village. Home Secretary briefs the Prime Minister's office about the law and order situation. Lok Sabha Speaker writes to all MPs, appeals to them to maintain House decorum during sessions, cautions against growing negative perception about image of Parliament and parliamentarians. Rahul Gandhi addresses an election rally in Bihar Shekhpura district, targets Prime Minister Narendra Modi on failure to keep his poll promises. And aid agency Doctors Without Borders demand war crimes investigation into the Kunduz airstrikes, says it does not trust investigations by US agencies or the NATO. Top story this evening. President Pranab Mukherjee today made an appeal for tolerance just days after a man was lynched in a village in Uttar Pradesh over rumours that he stored and consumed beef. The incident in Dadri has sparked outrage across the country and raised the debate about religious tolerance.
President Pranab Mukherjee has said the core values of diversity, tolerance and plurality of Indian civilization must always be preserved. Saying that these values must not be allowed to be wasted, the President said they will keep our democracy firm.
These core civilizational values keep us together over the centuries. Many ancient civilizations have collapsed. But despite aggression after aggression, long foreign rules, the Indian society, Indian civilization has survived because of its core civilizational values and adherence to it. And we must keep that in mind. And if we keep that in mind, nothing can prevent our democracy to move on.
The President's remarks come in the wake of the lynching of a 50-year-old man in Dadri over rumours that he stored and consumed beef. The incident has sparked outrage across the country. Even Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari had said last week that the state must ensure the right to life to every citizen of the country, irrespective of their religion.
संविधान में नागरिक के लिए सबसे जरूरी चीज क्या है? अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं आर्टिकल 21, राइट टू लाइफ, जिंदा रहने का हक। बगैर सुरक्षा के कुछ और नहीं हो सकता है। अगर सुरक्षा नहीं है तो विकास नहीं हो सकता है, सुरक्षा नहीं है तो तरक्की नहीं हो सकती है, सुरक्षा नहीं है तो हम आगे की दुनिया के ख्वाब नहीं देख सकते।
The Dadri incident has been condemned across the country. Opposition parties have questioned what they say is the Prime Minister's silence on the issue. The Home Ministry briefed the PMO on Wednesday after receiving a report from the UP government. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh also today said that the strongest possible action will be taken against the culprits in the Dadri lynching incident. His statement, of course, coming on a day when the Home Secretary briefed the PMO about the law and order situation in the village. In a related incident, meanwhile, the local police turned away Vishwa Hindu Parishad leader Sadhvi Prachi from entering the area.
A day after getting the state government's report on the Dadri incident, the Home Secretary on Wednesday briefed the Prime Minister's office on the law and order situation.
चाहे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हो अथवा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हो, मैं समझता हूं कि यदि कोई भी कम्युनल टेंशन को फैलाने की कोशिश करता है अथवा ऐसी कोई कम्युनल प्रॉब्लम यदि क्रिएट करता है अथवा किसी भी प्रकार का कोई क्राइम यदि वो करता है तो उसके खिलाफ तो सख्त कार्रवाई होनी ही चाहिए, उसे टॉलरेट नहीं किया जाना चाहिए।
According to media reports, the Uttar Pradesh police filed an FIR on charges of attempt to murder and rioting, but not murder. The state government said 8 of the 10 accused have been arrested, but its report makes no mention of beef consumption or cow slaughter.
आज हमारे देश में ये हालत है कि कोई किसी मंदिर में जाकर के उसके लाउडस्पीकर का इस्तेमाल कर सकता है, एक आरोप लगा सकता है कि फलाने के घर में गांव का मांस है, किसी को पूछने की जांचने की जरूरत नहीं है, लोग आकर के उन लोगों को बाहर घसीट करके उनकी निर्मम हत्या कर सकते हैं। असली मुद्दा ये है और ऐसा करने वाले और उनको उकसाने वालों को सख्त से सख्त सजा मिलनी चाहिए।
Meanwhile, peace marches were held in Bisara village where the victim Ikhlaq was lynched over rumors of alleged beef consumption. His son Danish was shifted from the ICU and has started communicating with family members.
मुझे शिकायत है अपने प्रधानमंत्री से, वो मेरे भी प्रधानमंत्री हैं और उन्होंने संविधान पर शपथ ली है और उन्होंने 15 अगस्त को बीते वर्ष मॉरेटोरियम की बात कही थी। किस तरह के मुद्दों पर मॉरेटोरियम लगना चाहिए, मेरी शिकायत उनसे है। कहाँ ले जा रहे हैं हम अपने मुल्क को? क्या रहन सहन खान पान के मुद्दों पर ही विमर्श होगा?
These so-called cheap political leaders with continued airy silence by the Prime Minister are dividing the very idea of India. They are decrying and denying the diversity of India and they are attacking the very soul of India.
The Home Minister, the Finance Minister, they both have commented on it. The party time and again has commented on it. There is already more than what is required to be done from the party is being done. At the same time, the PM is a sensitive person. He is seized with the matter. Do not judge him by what he writes or doesn't write on social media.
The administration also stepped up efforts to keep out the leaders of various outfits. Officials also said that prohibitory orders are still in force. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, poet Ashok Washbay has also returned his Scythe Academy Award in protest against what he termed the unmaking of India. He said that his decision is to back author Nayanthara Sehgal, who returned her prestigious literary award on Tuesday. Washbay quoted from a speech of Vice President Hamid Ansari to speak in favor of the right to dissent in a democracy. He also expressed disappointment at the silence of the Scythe Academy, the National Academy of Letters comprising writers. He said that the literary body failed to rise to the occasion and respect its autonomy.
Little hurt groups, hurt feeling groups, etc., are feeling encouraged by the inaction of the state. A rumor about a young man having beef in his house and he's murdered. I mean, there is a right to life. You cannot do this. And the Prime Minister, who's so loquacious, keeps on speaking about all kinds of issues, keeps quiet.
For more on this story, we're joined by senior journalist Arash Nagi on the news tonight this evening, joining us in studio this evening, rather. Saroj, thanks so much for being here with us. First of all, if we just talk about how the BJP is, of course, handling this, yes, we do know that a lot of leaders, of course, have reacted to this. Some, of course, quite shocking statements that we are, of course, hearing from some leaders. But at the same time, the silence of the Prime Minister, it's even more jarring this time around.
Yes, I think the Prime Minister should have spoken on this issue. A lot of people are expecting that he must speak on this issue. And I think one very strong message has come out from the President. The fact that the President has spoken on it is also a signal that the Prime Minister should have spoken on this issue. The fact that the PM is not speaking encourages a lot of these elements to take a very, very strong line against the plurality that defines India and that characterizes India. I think that is a point that the Prime Minister should have taken note of, particularly when he talks about, for instance, let's take this example of Obama. The Prime Minister keeps saying that Obama is his friend. But if you look at how Obama has reacted to the issue of the killing by gun by a killer in the United States, or for that matter,
the targeting of the black community in the US,
yes,
he's
the
been
black
quite
community,
vocal about it.
or the fact that a young boy was picked up as a suspect for making a clock. The President need not have reacted, but the President of US did react. If the Prime Minister comes out with a statement, it will act as a dampener for these groups which take the law into their own hands and come out with atrocious statements which are shameful for every Indian. I think that is a message the Prime Minister should have conveyed, and in not doing so, he's probably failing his supporters as well as the rest of the country who've elected him with such a large majority. Because he can be the Prime Minister so long as the people are also with him. If the people are not with him, I think it's no point being a Prime Minister then.
Absolutely. That's in fact some of the voices that we're hearing, not just from India, isn't it, Saroj, but also abroad. Also, you know, for example, the Time magazine as well, while reporting about this incident, saying that it's ironic that a Prime Minister who's so active on Twitter, who's so active on social media, has not even said a single word about this incident. You know, forget, you know, explaining what all is going to happen or anything, but just condemning it as well. There's been nothing that has come from him. But apart from that, you know, the very fact that this incident is coming also on the back of that beef ban that we're seeing in several states. We saw the kind of rhetoric, we saw the kind of controversies that it created, all the more damaging for the ruling party.
Yes, because, I mean, as I said, if the Prime Minister doesn't speak, it is seen as silence as consent to what is happening. And if you look at the Prime Minister, if you look at the speeches that Narendra Modi as a PM candidate had made, he had talked a lot about, you know, protecting cows, and again, he was against cow slaughter and against the export of meat. He accused the Congress of a pink revolution that is sanctioning the killing of cows and buffaloes. So I think if you juxtapose his speeches as a PM candidate with his silence now, it encourages these kind of elements. I mean, people like, it encourages people like Sakshi Maharaj, Mahesh Sharma, and on all the controversial remarks that have made. The point I'm also trying to make is that, you know, earlier we used to say that fringe elements are the ones who are talking this kind of a language or taking such extreme positions. The point is that these are not fringe elements anymore. Mahesh Sharma, or for that matter, Sangeet Som, they are ministers.
Yes.
You have MLAs, MPs, ministers. They are part of the government. They are part of the mainline BJP. They are the ones who frame policies. They are the insiders of the government, and if they talk in this language, then I mean, what is the kind of faith that people can have in a government? It shatters their faith. I think that is what the Prime Minister must understand.
So where do we see this heading now, Saroj? You know, because now we are, of course, seeing the way the literary community is, of course, reacting to this. We do know on social media, this has been a topic of discussion for days now. There have been a lot of protests, of course, that have been going on, some peace marches as well. Where do we see this heading, you know, with now especially the president himself speaking about it?
You know, I have a lot of faith in the people of the country. They will stand up against it. But if you look at what's happening in Dadri, you cannot look at it as an isolated incident where a mob killed a person, lynched a person on the suspicion that he was eating beef. Now, that is not the issue, whether he was eating beef or not eating beef. The bottom line is that the man is being killed because of rumors. And rumors have played a large part of, you know, in riots and killings in this country. If you recall what happened with the northeastern people who were in Bangalore, if you see what had happened in Maharashtra, or for that matter, what had happened in Muzaffarnagar, these killings were all motivated by rumors which were deliberately floated. So the essential thing is that, you know, you cannot look at Dadri only as an isolated incident. You have to connect the dots and see it in the context of the campaign that was launched on love jihad, for instance, on the Sons of Soil theory, for instance, so and other issues that are being taken up by the hardcore Hindutva forces in the country from time to time. Today, if it's Muslims and beef, yesterday it was attacking the rational elements, the liberals, Kalburgi's murder, for instance. And that perhaps is leading to the fact that some people are returning the Sahitya Academy Awards. Now, Sahitya Academy Awards, there can be two views on it, whether the people who are returning it should have returned it or not, considering that it's supposed to be an autonomous institute which gives them these awards. But I think the more important point that comes out from it is that there is a section within the country which believes
Yes.
that the plurality of the country should be maintained.
Yes.
And this is the time to voice your dissent. And
some gesture,
yes,
on
it's a
every front,
gesture
and that
it's
is
just
perhaps
not
what's
symbolic.
required.
It,
Yes.
it underlines the fact that you can have the right to dissent so long as you're alive.
All right.
If your life itself is in danger, where is the right to dissent in that case?
Absolutely.
I think that that is the message of that is coming out from people who are returning their awards.
All right, Saroj, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much for joining us on this story. We'll, of course, keep an eye on developments on this front. Meanwhile, in more news, the Cabinet today approved protocols amending tax treaties with Israel and Vietnam to share information on black money. With this decision, the government hopes to avoid double taxation and tax evasion. The centre has also approved the setting up of 3 new aims in Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal. A World Bank-assisted project worth over 2,000 crores was also approved to help farmers get more access to irrigation facilities. It will be implemented at the national level as well as 9 states like Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, which have seen rising number of farmer suicides. In another key decision, the government also approved a National War Memorial and Museum at the iconic India Gate in Delhi. The cost of the project is estimated to be around 500 crore rupees.
This is a continuation of our fight to curb the menace of black money and also to bring back all the misuse or money that has gone out of the country through misuse of double taxation agreements, if any.
Project cost of the National War Memorial, and is there a estimated deadline for this project to be completed?
Yes, the cost of the project is 500 crores sanctioned by the government, and the time period for 5 years.
Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan has written a letter to all MPs appealing to them to maintain decorum of the House during sessions. In the letter, the Speaker said that perhaps a negative perception is gaining ground about the image of Parliament and parliamentarians. Appealing to MPs to change this perception, the Speaker suggested to avoid frequent protests, flashing placards and disruptions. She also urged all members to showcase the democratic values that India is known for across the world. Without a quick break here, but still ahead, the Supreme Court declines to extend the use of Aadhaar card for other services for now. Details ahead.
The poll juggernaut rolls out in Bihar. Modi's NDA takes on Nitish's Grand Alliance. Who will win this most important election battle since 2014? Watch Verdict 2015, Monday through Saturday on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, adding to the flood of poll rhetoric today in Bihar was Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi. He addressed a rally in the Sheikhpura district of Bihar, where he launched a scathing attack on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Here's a report.
एक साल पहले मोदी जी आपके पास आए और उन्होंने आपसे बहुत वायदे किए थे। आपको याद होगा, लोकसभा के चुनाव से पहले उन्होंने कहा कि हिंदुस्तान के बाहर बहुत सारा काला धन है, उस काले धन को वापस लाऊंगा और हर गरीब व्यक्ति, हर हिंदुस्तान के व्यक्ति के बैंक अकाउंट में मैं 15 लाख रुपए डालूंगा। यह उनका वायदा था। मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं, इस मीटिंग में कोई ऐसा व्यक्ति है जिसके बैंक अकाउंट में 15 लाख रुपए मोदी जी ने डाले?
Addressing a rally in Sheikhpura district of Bihar, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi targeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi on failing to keep his election promises. According to him, the Modi government is not bothered about the poor people.
बेरोजगारी की बात होती है, देश को आगे बढ़ाने की बात होती है, तो यहां जो युवा आया है उससे बात नहीं करेंगे, किसान से बात नहीं करेंगे, मजदूर से बात नहीं करेंगे, किससे बात करेंगे? पूंजीपति से बात करेंगे। जिसको दर्द हो रहा है उसकी बात नहीं सुनेंगे, उसको सिर्फ अपने मन की बात बताएंगे।
The 30-minute long speech also included trademark taunts about the Prime Minister's foreign visits.
आप देख लो मोदी जी की जितनी भी फोटो आपको दिखाई देंगी, उसमें आपको फटे कपड़े वाला कोई नहीं दिखाई देगा। उसमें आपको बड़े बड़े उद्योगपति दिखाई देंगे, बड़े बड़े ब्यूरोक्रेट दिखाई देंगे, अमेरिका से अलग अलग लोग दिखाई देंगे, फेसबुक का कोई दिखाई देगा, इंस्टाग्राम का कोई दिखाई देगा, गूगल का, यूट्यूब का दिखाई देगा, मगर हिंदुस्तान का किसान, हिंदुस्तान का मजदूर, हिंदुस्तान का गरीब, हिंदुस्तान का कमजोर नहीं दिखाई देगा।
Drawing a comparison between Modi and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, he said Nitish is a leader of the masses and expressed confidence that the Grand Alliance will win under him.
A belligerent Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi fired yet another salvo at the BJP and rigged up the suit boot ki jibe. Giving pep talk to the party workers, Rahul Gandhi tried to drive home the point that the Grand Alliance was pro-farmer and pro-poor. And if it formed the government in Bihar, then the voices of the poor and the weak would be heard. Reporting from Rohtas, with camera person Sudhanshu, I am Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
The Apex Court today refused to modify its interim order and has restricted the universal usage of the Aadhaar card and has referred the matter to a larger bench. The Aadhaar card now cannot be used to avail more services like opening bank accounts and getting phone connections. Hence, the card can only be used for availing subsidies under the public distribution system. The centre is likely to move the court to form a larger bench. And now let's get you some more national news updates in Nationwide. The third round of talks to end the FTII deadlock saw no breakthrough. FTII students have been protesting for over 100 days now against the appointment of actor Gajendra Chauhan as the institute's chairman. The students' representatives and the Information and Broadcasting Ministry will resume talks on Saturday in Mumbai. Jammu and Kashmir Assembly Speaker has revoked the suspension of 2 National Conference MLAs today. He had suspended 4 NC members on Tuesday. The suspension prompted NC to boycott the ongoing session. Former Chief Minister Omar Abdullah said that the party will continue protest till the suspension on all 4 members are revoked. Delhi's former Law Minister Somnath Bharti was granted bail by a Delhi court in a domestic violence and attempt to murder case. The court asked him to file a 1 lakh rupee personal bond for the bail. He has also been directed not to leave the country without prior permission and join the probe as and when summoned. The CBI questioned Trinamool Congress MP Tapas Pal in connection with his alleged involvement in the Rose Valley and Sharda Ponzi scams. The MP has served as a director in one of the group firms. CBI had raided his South Kolkata residence in March regarding his association with Rose Valley. International news: and unsatisfied with internal inquiries on the Kunduz hospital bombings, aid agency Doctors Without Borders or the MSF has demanded a war crimes probe into the incident. The head of the MSF said that they did not trust investigations by the US military, the State Department or the NATO. This comes a day after the US military accepted responsibility for the bombings that killed 22 people.
The head of the international aid group, Doctors Without Borders, has demanded an independent war crimes probe into the Kunduz hospital bombing. The organization says it was an attack on the Geneva Convention. At least 22 people were killed in US airstrikes on the hospital.
Location of this hospital was well known, was well communicated to all parties, like we do in a conflict. The opposition forces, including in the coalition forces and the Afghan forces. We've given the coordinates. It's a relatively big hospital that is clearly visible and known to everybody. So a precise attack on this big hospital, if not proven differently, leads us to a war crime.
Several inquiries have already been ordered by the US Department of Justice, the Pentagon, NATO and an American Afghan team. The US military took responsibility for the airstrike, saying it was a mishap.
To be clear, the decision to provide aerial fires was a US decision made within the US chain of command. A hospital was mistakenly struck. We would never intentionally target a protected medical facility.
The President also has the expectation that steps will be taken to try to prevent this kind of thing from happening again. And I also understand from General Campbell's testimony today that he has already tasked his team to conduct a review.
The International Humanitarian Fact-Finding Commission, called by MSF, is an independent mechanism created under an international law, but it has never been used before. According to its provisions, an inquiry needs the specific endorsement of parties to the conflict. However, neither the US nor Afghanistan is a signatory of it, so they would have to issue separate declarations of consent. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.